Welcome, Nia here, and
I'm Caitlin.
we are here to spend some time with you to help kind of guide you with some reflection, the last year that we've had and going into the next year.
Mhm.
So starting out kind of, settling here, grabbing whatever you need. What comes up as you start to reflect? Maybe what is and isn't serving you, maybe what you've gotten closer to or have had less of.
Mm. I know for me this year, I've definitely had like a lack of intention in my daily practices. I've spent a lot of energy trying to get back to normal, whatever that is, trying to create structure. And that's led to me not having a lot of intentionality in my practice. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think energy comes up for me, of what energy is and isn't serving me.
Mm.
I think it's really important and helpful to be, intentional about what is and isn't serving you as far as energy. And if that's like other people, other things,
Yeah.
yeah, communicating that too if you need to.
Yeah. So one thing that has been serving me this year is having hard conversations, getting closer to myself by
Mhm.
asserting my boundaries. That's definitely something I
Mhm.
want to keep going into 2022.
Yeah, nice. Hmm.
Hmm. So in 2021, what have you learned in terms of expectations, stability, longevity, things like that?
Yeah, I think this year really has shed some light on sustainability and longevity for me.
Mm.
Those words have been huge. Still figuring out, what that means and what that looks like for me.
Mm.
But allowing those words to kind of shift and evolve with breath, movement, inviting all things in, if that's all parts.
Mm.
Yeah, changing things up.
Every time, even this time, every time you say involving breath, I'm reminded to take a diaphragmatic breath.
Mhm.
And maybe you guys at home can take a moment and feel your breath. Feel the breath move through your body and see what that's like. When I think about my expectations or what I've learned about sustainability for 2021, I think about uh, the difference between joy and rest.
Mhm.
And this year, I definitely spent a lot of time allowing for rest and encouraging myself to rest. Um, but I think that I can make room for joy, and joy is different from rest, right? Because it's something that you have to be active, I think, and intentional about. You're
Mhm.
doing something that brings joy into your life. You might not get joy just from laying down on the couch. I would know because I do that a lot. But you can get rest that way. So yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. What in this year has given you hope?
My automatic thought was like cat videos. Cat
Yes.
videos have given me hope. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I think being able to appreciate the little things
Hmm.
has been able to give me hope. So what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm a very optimistic person and I love joy, laughter, goodness, of course, who doesn't? But I also notice some bracing and some tension when I think about hope. And
Mm.
there's some doubt, maybe some fear that I notice. So I also want to invite you to kind of reflect on what comes up for you, if that's,
Mm,
emotions that are harder to feel and think about. If a part of you comes up that's, doubtful or kind of pushes things away, kind of
mm,
sitting with that for a minute.
that's awesome. That actually reminds me of something that I'd like to do for this new year for 2022 is like take up more space and more
Mm.
time.
Hmm.
Allow myself to unfold and recognize that I might have hope and also doubt and fear and spend time with all of those instead of prioritizing meeting other people's needs.
Hmm. Yeah.
What are your intentions for 2022?
Yeah, I think a big intention is focusing on, and maybe not even focusing, just being kind
Mm,
of whatever that comes up, whatever comes up in that, and just being and just letting be also, kind
mm,
of detachment a little bit.
yeah.
I think another thing that comes up, we've had discussions about this, New Year's resolutions and
Mm-hmm.
how that can bring about some bracing, maybe some hope, but maybe a lot of pressure too. Um, of like what you're gonna get done in the new year, what goals you have. And that's great. Goals are awesome for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering like what that language kind of brings up for you.
Mm. Yeah, like doing a New Year's, instead of a resolution to do something more, you can do like a New Year releasing
Mm.
or letting go of something that isn't serving you anymore. Whether that's a person, a relationship, an obligation that you want to let go of.
Yeah, I think another thing, as you're reflecting, as you're thinking about, what's coming up next, as you're noticing what's coming up for you, how can you offer yourself some self compassion, maybe
Mm.
some self love?
As soon as I think about self compassion or self love, I think about something that I learned from a workshop with Peter Levine. He's a therapist that pioneered somatic experiencing. Um, and it's basically like this exercise where you take your right hand and you put it under your left arm and just feel your heart beating through your rib cage
Mm.
and just see if you can feel gratitude for that. All the things that converge together so that that heartbeat can happen and allowing yourself to feel grateful just for being alive. You made it to here. You made it to this video, to whatever moment comes next.
Mm.
And I think with practicing like more gratitude, we can maybe loosen up a little bit on some of the expectations we have for ourselves.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, expectations. Yeah, I think, thinking about these big words like compassion or newness, there's a lot of big words that are kind of coming up in this. Thinking about what that looks like for you. If there's different ways that you can kind of break it down, if that's offering yourself 1%, 2% more compassion, self compassion.
Hmm. Hmm. Reminds me of milk a little bit. Like 2% compassion.
Milk.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing this space and this time with us. We hope that this gave you an opportunity to reflect, think about the next year with some intention.
Mm.
Anything you wanted to say?
Thank you. I'm hoping that you continue this reflection with yourself. And yeah.
Hmm. Happy 2022.